order at 9:05, and this is the first time, and I think I've ever done this virtually. So let me see how we do introductions here. Let me pull up the participation list. So what's the protocol here, Jeanette? Just kind of go down the list.
Yeah, just go ahead and read down the list.
All right. I'm going to start after all the PAG staff here. I'll start with you, Jeanette. You're first on my list.
Sure, I'm Jeanette D. Ryan, Transportation Planning Director here at PAG.
Thanks, Jeanette. Jamie?
Thank you, Mr. Credio. Jamie Brown with Pima Association of Governments.
Thanks, Jamie. James?
Good morning, James Chow, RTA.
There's two James here. All right, let's see here. And now they're moving on me. This is getting interesting. Let's see here. Jennifer?
Jennifer Hobart with the ADOT MPD. I'm the regional planner for MPD.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. Adam?
Good morning, Adam Ledford with PAG.
Chris Steve?
Yeah, Chris Stevie, University of Arizona, landscape architect.
Great, thanks, Chris. Dustin?
Dustin Fitzpatrick, Environmental Planning Administrator at PAG.
Thanks, Dustin. Galavale?
Morning, everybody. My name is Nalo. I'm with the town of Sahuarita. I'm the Public Works Director.
Thanks, Nalo. Let's go to Hunsu.
Hi, Hansuno, with the Plymouth Association of Government.
Thanks, Hunsu. The other James.
Hi, James Tokishi, Transportation Data Science Manager at PAG.
Great, thank you, James. Jeremy?
Jeremy Moore, ADOT.
Thanks, Jeremy. Jose?
Jose Rodriguez, Town of Oro Valley.
Thanks, Jose. Catherine?
Catherine Skinner, Pima County Transportation.
Thank you, Catherine. Melanie?
Good morning, Melanie Lawson, Public Relations at PAG.
Thanks, Melanie. Natalie?
Good morning, I'm Natalie Shepp, Pima County Environmental Quality.
Thank you, Natalie. Paul?
Good morning, Paul Castertano, Pima County Transportation.
Thank you, Paul. Preston?
Morning, Preston McLaughlin, Transportation Mobility Manager at PAG RTA.
Great, thank you, Preston. And Xiao Li?
Yeah, my name is Xiao Li. I'm the Senior Transportation Data Scientist from PAG.
Excellent, thank you very much. Anybody that I didn't miss? Or anybody that I didn't get? Anybody I missed?
Yes,
all right, and
yes, I'm Paul Machado with the Tucson Airport Authority.
Okay, great, thank you. Sorry about that. Anyone else?
Hi, Dan Gabbio, Federal Highways.
Oh, hi, Dan. Oh, I see those are the attendees. And anyone else? I think there's Molly.
Yeah, Molly Lavo with City of South Tucson.
Great, thank you, Molly. There was another tab I didn't click on, I apologize. And I'm Sam Credio, I'm the Director of Transportation and Mobility with the City of Tucson. All right, I think introductions are done. We'll move on to item 2. Let's see, in-kind reporting. Take it away, Jeanette.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Regional planning efforts are enhanced by recording time donated by attendees, volunteers, and participants. PAG collects data on the time dedicated to meetings and activities to apply for use as matching funds for grants and federal dollars. If you're paid with federal dollars, please let us know. Time spent in preparation for this meeting will be estimated by PAG staff who are knowledgeable of the agenda and meeting materials. At the conclusion of this meeting, a session report will automatically calculate your time spent in the meeting. Time spent working on PAG RTA initiatives, programs, and special projects may also be eligible for consideration for matching funds. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. I do want to make a quick announcement that our speaker for agenda item number 4 had a situation arise this morning and won't be able to join us. So they've asked that we move that agenda item to next month's agenda.
Okay, great. Thank you. We'll go to item 3, which is approval of the September 18th meeting summary. Have you all had a chance to take a look at the meeting summary, and do you have any questions or comments? I have a few, but I'll defer to you all first. Going once, going twice. Okay. My only edit to the meeting summary was under the future agenda items. I had asked that we include the list from the July meeting back onto the meeting summary. I went back and looked at the video. It's right around the hour and 25-minute-ish mark. If y'all want to hear that that list that I had read during the last future agenda items during the last TPC meeting. So that's the only change that I have. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, I will call for a motion to approve the meeting summary with the noted changes.
So moved. It's Catherine.
All right, it's a motion. Thank you, Catherine. Is there a second?
Second, Jose.
Thanks, Jose. All right. Any questions, comments, discussion before we move to a vote? Jeanette, how do we do voting on the virtual here? Is it just a voice vote?
Just a voice vote.
Okay, great. All right, hearing no discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Let's move to, so item 4, we will continue for the November agenda at the direction of staff or at the request of staff. So we will move to item 5, which is regional transportation revenues updates. James Tao.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the TPC. If you'll turn to table 3 and figure 1 in your regional transportation revenues report, through August of fiscal year 25, there was more than 28.5 million in HERF and VLT collected across the region. Of that 28.5 million, table 1 shows PAG collected about 5.4 million of that regional funding. The remainder was distributed directly to our jurisdictional partners. Table 1 also shows us the total annual STBG apportionment, which is just over $21 million. Regional HERF revenues were at an almost 4% decrease year over year. Over the 5-year average, we sit at nearly a 2% increase. Table 4 shows HERF 12.6 in detail. Through August, we collected $5.4 million, which is a 16.3% more increase than the ADOT official forecast and nearly 5% stronger than last year. Table 5 shows HERF 2.6 with stronger than expected collections totaling almost 1.2 million through August, which is nearly 5% stronger than last year. And with Table 6 through August, PAG had over 101 million in an interest-bearing account. Most of these dollars are spoken for. In Table 7, we look at the city and town HERF distributions year to date. Table 8 shows the HERF 12.6 and 2.6 we have already seen. Additionally, we have Pima County HERF and Pima County vehicle license tax, the portion set aside for transportation use only. And Table 9 has the previous 5 years and lets you see how much HERF your city or town received. Table 10 shows us gallons of gas sold in Pima County through various fiscal years. We normally like to see about 13%, and through August, we were just under 13% for the fiscal year. And in Table 11, about 20.4 million has been collected in TPT through August, trending slightly lower than the adopted budget, while showing a more than 2% increase from the same period last year. Mr. Chair, that concludes my update. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, James. Any questions for James on the revenue tables? Catherine has her hand up. Catherine?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. I just wanted to say, I appreciate you say most of the 12.6 is spoken for, and that money that is just in the account is in an interest-bearing account. I do want to point out that, discussions are quite heated and excited to figure out how we're going to complete RTA 1. And so I think identifying a little bit more closely those dollars that aren't spoken for is going to be an important next step, so that we're making sure we're getting all those monies on projects that we can. And then the last table that showed the gas sales, I just wasn't, or the table 10, you have fiscal year 2025. Is that a projection of gas sales for 25, or since we're mid-year, I was just wondering if that was the correct year on there.
I believe it's the fiscal year, is it not? I might ask Adam Ledford to assist with this question. Adam, do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, so this is the year to date. So this is just representing July and August for fiscal year in comparison to all the previous fiscal years. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but happy to elaborate if you need.
I think what Catherine's saying is you're showing the fiscal year 24 total. How could you also be showing the fiscal year 25 total for only a few months, a quarter into it? Is
Sorry.
that a projection?
It's year to date. So all 5 of these in table 10, including the 5-year average, are a year to date. So this is a direct comparison of both July and August year to date for all 5 of those periods.
Okay.
As we go, each cycle we'll just update, and each one will be representative of the same amount of months, so you get a true apples to apples comparison.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks, Adam.
Good questions. Any other questions for James on this item? All right, hearing none, we will move on to item 6, 2055 RMAP update. Jeanette and Hannah, take it away.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 2 PowerPoint presentations that we want to share with you this morning. The first one will be on the activity-based model exploratory tool, and that'll be Xiao Li. And then James Takeshi will give us an update on the DTA model. So we could go ahead and turn it over to Xiao to go ahead with his presentation.
Thank you. So, what shall I control the slide? Oh, great. Thank you, Chair and members of TPC. My name is Xiao Li, Senior Transportation Data Scientist here at PAG, and I will be walking you through the development of our activity-based model exploratory tool, which is part of our effort to improve transportation planning by integrating uncertainties and the strategies into our ABM more effectively. Let's start with some background of our ABM development. We initially developed a mega-region ABM in 2008, followed by a regional ABM in 2019. Since then, we have continued to enhance it, incorporating changes like static work behaviors and freight model improvements, especially in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. We are now using this ABM to model our most recent 2055 RMAP. The model works by synthesizing the population and then assigning long-term work and school locations, selecting midterm transportation modes, and simulating daily activities and travel tools and trips, and then assigning the trips to the transportation network. The goal of our exploratory tool is to support decision-making in regional transportation planning. We are focusing on both inputs and outputs. On the input side, we are integrating uncertainties such as social demographic growth, autonomous vehicle adoption, and telework rates, and strategies like transit and roadway improvements. On the output side, we are interested in transportation outcomes, equity outcomes, and the emission outcomes. This will allow us to run fewer full model simulations while still gaining insights into how different strategies and uncertainties performs under various scenarios. We conducted a comprehensive review of existing uncertainty analysis approaches. After evaluating several options, we chose TMIMAT from the Travel Model Improvement Program, which is a scenario-based exploratory modeling and analysis tool as the methodology over the alternatives like Vision Able. This decision was based on its flexibility and alignment with our goals for the ABM exploratory tool. Before we could fully develop the exploratory tool, we need to update our ABM. Our ABM space year was updated from 2018 to 2023 to account for recent changes in socioeconomic data. ABM now can also consider the vehicle fleet mix by integrating the model with the EPA MOVES model to capture detailed vehicle emissions. The following slides will discuss the details about vehicle fleet mix and automation. To accurately represent electric vehicles in the ABM, we adjusted the perceived auto operating costs to reflect the lower cost of operating electric vehicles. And in the EPA MOVES model, we modified the input fleet mix to include projections on EV adoptions, ensuring that we can capture emission reductions from this chain. And we also have made several automation improvements. ABM is now run by a batch file, and we are developing Python scripts to automate its execution alongside with the EPA MOVES model. This automation includes performance measures scripts that streamline the post-processing of the outputs, improving the efficiency and reducing the manual efforts. Currently, we are performing a series of sensitivity tests to ensure the updated ABM work as expected. These tests include increasing automobile operating costs by 50%, adjusting truck trip generation rates, testing EV penetration, and free transit or discount taxi for the target population. For instance, we will simulate a scenario with 100% EV penetration to check the model's response. We will further calibrate ABM if the model is not responding as expected. After talking about the updates and the testing of the model, we would like to introduce our approach design. To design the exploratory tool, we developed a set of strategies and uncertainties. We have chosen variables such as household employment growth patterns, autonomous vehicle adoption, and transit service expansion and defined their ranges and distributions. This setup allows us to run 120 core models using the TMIMAT to explore the full spectrum of possible scenarios. This table shows the range and the type of uncertainties and strategies we are considering. For example, the household and employment growth rates are modeled as continuous uncertainties, while the transit service expansion is a binary strategy. Either we expand or we don't. This diversity in input variables will help us capture a wide range of potential future scenarios. Let's see, we have also the autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles, telecommute, and truck travels, e-commerce, and some roadway and transit strategies. We are also defining the key performance measures to process the model outputs, which are categorized into three groups: the traditional RMAP measures, air quality measures, and equity-related measures. For instance, the traditional performance measures we used before, like the mode share and VMT, showed by the orange color, and the emissions will be assessed to the outputs like the greenhouse gases uh and like a CO, VOC showed by the green. And we are also tracking equity outcomes to ensure vulnerable population have equitable access to transportation and job opportunities, showed by the blue circle. We will set up 120 core model rounds to sufficiently explore the problem space. The goal is to use these rounds to create a meta model, a simplified version of the full ABM that can estimate the outcome performance measures for any combinations of inputs. This will allow us to quickly forecast performance measures without running the ABM for every single scenario. And we plan to visualize the results of the exploratory tool using either Jupyter Notebook or the Cambridge Systematics Tandem website. This visualization will allow users to interactively explore the model output by adjusting the range of the uncertainties and the strategies to see how they impact key performance metrics. After developing this tool, we will conduct a peer review with ABM experts to validate the approach and gather feedback. We will document all procedures, results, and feedback in a final report along with the tool developed for this project. This documentation will be shared with PAG to support future use and adaptation of the tool. Here is our project timeline, which started in January 2024 and finished the literature review and approach design. So currently we are in the automation and testing phase. By the end of this year, we expect to implement the tool and conduct the peer review next year. And the documentation will follow in early 2025, wrapping up the project. And thank you for your time and attention. I'm happy to take any questions now. And you can also reach me by email at the address listed here if you have further inquiries. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for that presentation. Are there any questions for Zhao on this information? Natalie?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the update. I appreciate learning about that. One of your slides stated that the results would be shared with PAG. I guess I'm just curious how the results will be shared with this committee so that we can make more informed decisions about our decisions, related to the RMAP finalization.
Mr. Chair, may I answer the question?
Go ahead, Hansu.
Yeah, so first, Natalie, thank you for the question. This is actually a part of the CRP funded project, and then just the report and the expected, and based on just a timeline and then just a list. So performance measures are listed and will be actually just shared and with the TPC and the members and as just the outcomes. So I think that's our the plan.
So will there be different scenarios by which we will be able to see, the variable results?
Yeah, I think just one of the outcomes is actually visualization tool. So literally you will see and sort of like just a demo and how just you use that and like it's just the changes of uncertainties, for example, like it's just automated and vehicles and 20%, 30%, 50%, then you will see the changes of just the air quality portion, greenhouse gas emission, just the changes, or just the CO2 changes, something like that.
Okay, so would the jurisdictions be able to give you different scenarios by which we could see
No,
the
that's
different results?
not, yeah, because of that's really just the challenging, and that's the portion of the understanding of the meta model, and that we actually just internally discussed and all just the full spectrum and the possibilities, and but the scenarios are actually just fully capable at this moment based on the list that is provided here.
Is there any way to use this model to kind of make determinations like project level determinations so that we can see variability in greenhouse gas emissions reductions?
This is targeted for just the whole region. And so some portion of the project list and impact is the regional level. So if just one project just changes, I don't see much just the impact. And but if you have just 50% of just the project, and we showed here, maybe just shall go back to that, just the scenarios we prepared. Yeah, here is just I think roadway capacity improvement. So this creates just three options. Option one, high priority project. Second, high and medium priority project, and all project. So based on those options, we will see that just the impact regionally.
Okay. The reason I'm asking these questions is because I really want to try to understand where we're going with planning for greenhouse gas emissions reductions and you know, as we move forward with our long range planning. And I'm still struggling to understand what that will look like and how we as jurisdictions can be informed in order to make the most appropriate decisions to try to achieve the goals that we are, both the city and county, are actively outlining right now. So it's important for us to be able to do that. And I'm still not understanding how PAG is going to help us be able to do that.
Yeah, simply just through our map process, and we are actually discussing and more and with planning team, the Jeanette here. So those in the project list updated, we actually just can put it in the model, and our just the model test and the high priority project and the high and medium priority project. Those are actually just a group of project, and you got the RMAP and the map just the portion just decided. So those will be just shown and through the model like a forecast year 2055. The outputs actually just the changes of those impact simply. But that's not the only one. And for other just items, household and employment growth rate just the changes. That's also just the uncertainty together. So you can simply consider those, and the items listed here is a sort of levers. So as you're adjusting your levers, and given those performance measures regarding equity related, or just air quality related, or just the user's performance measures, those are just the changes you will see.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for those questions, Natalie. I heard you say, Hansu, this is CRP funded, and I'm sure we had a presentation on this previously. Can you remind me how much CRP funds went into this?
I think this is under 300K. Yeah, that's the total, just the budget and the activity-based model and the exploratory tool development.
Okay.
Yeah.
And could you flip over to the slide on the schedule?
Yeah, go ahead, schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I see. So we started in January. It looks like everything's lining up to be complete around the same time as the RMAP was adopted.
That's right. Yeah, but the importance is actually just this is the CRP funded project, and maybe just that you can consider this and the total outcomes and including like a visualization tool and the other portions, maybe just discussing in the next round of just the RMAP. because of we don't see, and as you mentioned, there's just the project timeline, and will be just ending, and based on just the RMAP timeline. So that's the kind of just the caveat.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on this before we move on? All right, I'm hearing and seeing none. So I think what's the next thing, Jeanette?
Yes, James
Yeah.
Takeshi will present on the DTA model.
Great, thank you, James. Take it away.
Let's see. All right, I think I have slide control, maybe. Oops. I'm going the wrong direction. There we go. Hello, good morning, everyone. And thanks for having me. I'm going to be giving a short presentation on the development process behind our dynamic traffic assignment model, where we are, what's coming up, and what the sort of things that go into this. Okay, clicking the slides, so clicking that button, there we go. Yeah, so one of the things, major motivations for this is an effort to enhance our ability to model the activity within the region. So I'll give a quick run through of the static and versus dynamic traffic assignment, why you do use one over the other and what their use cases are, before diving into the DTA model itself, our current development timeline, status, quick run through of the sorts of information that go into it, and then the sorts of things that we can get out of it. So static traffic assignment is what's used in the PAG trip-based and activity-based models. If you've seen any of our modeling results before, that's basically what you've been seeing. Static traffic assignment models are fairly computationally simple. They can be run on limited hardware and have somewhat limited inputs. They aggregate vehicle behavior based on mathematical relationships between volume, aggregate link capacity, and speed travel time. In our case, through use of a volume delay function. They also have fairly large time intervals for both demands and outputs. For example, our models have a 2-hour AM peak period, a 5.5-hour midday period, a 2-hour PM period, and then the remaining 14.5 hours as the overnight period. They also, as mentioned before, because they have somewhat limited inputs, they have somewhat coarse network representation, looking at things like the total number of through lanes, just the presence of a signal, speed limits, free flow speeds, and that sort of thing. They also have a mathematical representation of vehicle flows, capacity, and queuing. Dynamic traffic assignment models, by comparison, are computationally extensive, require significant resources to develop both the network and the inputs, as well as to run the model. In contrast to the time of day periods of the static model, the dynamic traffic assignment model will simulate individual vehicle behavior on a sub-second or several second interval. They also have much shorter time intervals for both demands and outputs, typically aggregated to 15 to 30 minutes, but theoretically there's no lower limit to that. There's also a much more detailed network representation, just also because of how it's modeling individual vehicles now. And things like signal timings, lanes, presence of and lengths of turn bays, link connectivity, as well as start becoming issues or are required inputs. We can also do things like incorporate a schedule-based transit network and desired speeds for vehicles. It also has a physically constrained rather than a mathematical representation of vehicle flows, capacity, and queuing. We also can have individual or class vehicle profiles. It models vehicle interactions, and again, the physical representation of the vehicles within the network. As just one very quick snapshot look here, this image on the left, at least, you may have again seen before if you've seen any of our model outputs. This is that fairly coarse link level, highly aggregated volume. In this case, it's showing a daily volume on these links. We could also show by period, AM, midday, PM, or overnight, but we're again limited to these sorts of highly aggregated outputs. Conversely, looking at this snapshot of the same location from a DTA model, from our DTA model under development, you can see that it's showing the exact vehicles. You can see if you look closely, red light for the north and southbound frontage roads, and that the east and west now have a green. You can see the vehicles there. You can see them turning. You can see that they've queued up at the light, waiting for the light to turn green, turning bays and all the rest. This here, if I, whoops. Can I, let's see. Can I start the playing this video? I'm clicking, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Let me just click it one more time, James. Forward it like you're going to forward it one more time.
Forward one more time.
There
we go. Did I click too many times? What happened there? Okay, so this is just a short animation loop that I recorded out of one of our testing runs. This is focused on the Euclid and Speedway intersection. Again, you can see that we've actually got the vehicles driving around the network. In this case, they are color-coded so that you can see what each vehicle is intending to do next. Those green vehicles, for example, are all turning right. And you see them then turn blue to indicate a through movement as they cross the intersection to make their movements. You can see these cars flagged red, waiting to make their left turns in their turn bays, signals, stop signs, exact lane and intersection movements. So again, there's a lot of detail that we're getting out of this. There we go. So what is our model right now? It's being built in Caliper's Transmodeler software. This makes it also much more directly compatible with our older trip-based and newer activity-based models, which are running in Caliper's TransCAD software. Our initial regional network was based on our travel demand model and some exploratory efforts by Caliper. We're pulling the OD tables or origin destination information for trips out of the activity-based model, weighted by time of day metrics that were developed by PAG based on counts based on our annual traffic count program. Signal timings in the network right now were based on a 2021 synchro network that we received from the city of Tucson, as well as some updates that we've received for ADOT intersections. The initial model network was reviewed and updated by PAG in 2021 to 2023 to create a working base network. And we now have a calibration and validation project ongoing with Caliper, expected completion by the end of the current fiscal year. Laying that out in project timeline, you can see we're here in October of 2024. We're still deep in the model calibration validation step. Caliper is also currently working on tools that would allow us to take the outputs from this and put them into the moves air quality model. So we can use the very detailed outputs from this to better model the emissions impacts within the region. They're also currently working on a application guidance document for us. Now doing a quick dive into the model itself. I'll be looking at the network structure, some of the driver and vehicle parameters, transit, and demand. Just to very quickly touch back to the static traffic assignment models. They are, again, fairly simple. You can see, we have, of course, some physical parameters such as link lengths, their area types, the number of through lanes from which we derive capacity, link classes, freeway, parkway, arterial, major, minor arterial collectors, as well as speed limits and free flow speeds. It's fairly simple. There's also just a simple binary for signal presence. There either is or is not a signal. Pulling up a snapshot of that same place in the DTA network, you can see what some of these carry over. Of course, we still have lengths, we still have link classes, we still have roadway speed limits, but now you're seeing that we have these explicitly modeled lanes, turn bays, lane connections that show which lanes can upstream connect to which lanes downstream. We have network geometry that includes roadway medians. We can have lane change permissions, such as a related. You can see, for example, down at the link that's pointing at, once you get into that turn bay, into that right turn bay, you're making that right turn. You can't just weave in and out of that, as well as roadway tapering and lanes are added or removed. The signals themselves are also much more detailed. In this case, I'm just doing a quick snapshot of the control pattern controls for an actuated signal. But as you can see in the drop down, we also have, we can also incorporate stops and yield and pre-time signals. To make things even more complicated, as happens at interchanges, and especially, we can also link multiple signals together as one wider coordinated system. Vehicle parameters themselves are also much more complicated. This is just one of many of the car following models that are that we can use. So you can see that there are a number of parameters that define how vehicles will interact with each other. Minimum distance between vehicles at a stop, how many seconds minimum again between vehicles, the ranges for how far vehicles are based on speeds and time and roadway conditions and that sort of thing. We also set distributions for drivers' desired speeds. So rather than just having one set value for a roadway speed limit, we now can build a distribution that recognizes the fact that different drivers will have different desires to go at different speeds. Some, for example, will be at that 0.00, which means they're doing exactly the speed limit. Some will do slightly above, some will do more than slightly above, and some will do less. We can also set much more detailed bins for vehicle classes. These are currently based on a default distribution, but we can also incorporate regional data that will make these more closely fit the vehicle mix that we that we see in Tucson. The current spread is looking at high, middle, and low performance cars, pickups and SUVs, single unit and multi-unit trucks, buses, and motorcycles. We can also, based on the origin destination tables from the activity-based model, split them into specific vehicle classes. So rather than that default from the previous, we can say, for example, and in this case, in the testing model, drive alone, for example, just means mid-range passenger car. Heavy trucks or trailers, medium trucks or single unit trucks, and then light trucks are those pickups and SUVs. We can also, and I'll speed through these because it gets real complicated real fast. We can also set exact performance ranges and vehicle parameters for each of these bins of cars, as well as looking at controls for things like roundabouts. Then now moving on to onto transit. As you can see here, there are multiple user-defined transit fleet classes that are available. So, for example, here we have bus, articulated bus, and a train class is currently standing in for Sunlink. The transit tables are also importable from GTFS, and we can use a simpler headway system or import the exact published schedule. In that case, this is pulling the routes, I believe, for Sunlink. You can see each time that a Sunlink is scheduled to leave its starting station, based on its time points at certain given stops. This also then interpolates that and estimates when it would be expected at every interim stop as well. This is just a snapshot of the network after it was imported from GTFS. As you can see, it is quite thorough. Another output visualization here. Let's see if I can get this one to start playing. And this is just showing also the sorts of additional detail that we can get. These are now color-coded for vehicle speeds. Red, of course, means the vehicle is either very slow or at a stop. You can see them then accelerate. They come off of a stop from red, moving into this yellow, orange and yellow up to about 30 to 45 miles an hour. If you look closely, every now and then you can see a vehicle on the speedway segment, like that guy right there, that just crossed the Euclid intersection, does tip up into the 45 plus range. So that's probably one of our drivers in a higher desired speed category. We can also export, of course, much more detailed outputs than just that. This is just a quick snapshot of the various outputs that it would let us export, as well as various time intervals, all user defined, that we can export these at. So right now, if I were to run the model with all of these on at this prompt, it would be exporting output in 5-minute time intervals at 300 seconds. These are some, again, quick snapshots. So this one was aggregated to a 1 hour level. So from 12 to 1 a.m., we have the number of trips that were in the network, VMT, VHT, delays, stop times, the number of times that vehicles stop, trip lengths, average travel times, average speeds, and a few here are more for network model performance monitoring. You can see, of course, as you know, in the very early hours of the morning, there isn't very much travel in any sense. Picks up once we hit about 6 a.m. and that morning peak starts. Remains high for the rest of the day, with another peak in the afternoon as everyone then goes home. and then it gradually tapers off towards the evening. We can also have detailed breakdowns by origin and destination. These are based on our TAZ network or traffic analysis zones. And again, number of vehicles that travel between each of them, as well as the very detailed breakdown of their outputs or performance measures.
Hey, James, can I jump in here? How many more
Yes.
slides do we have? Because we're going to start losing some people at 10:20, and I want to make sure we get through all the agenda items.
Yeah, sorry. Just two. So I'll skip over that one, and I'll just say I'll end here on the future use cases. We built this with an eye towards enhancing our regional metrics. So it'll feed into the TIP and RMAP, as well as feeding those into the MOVES air quality model. It also gives enhanced time of day metrics. As you saw, it was because it's continuous versus those 4 highly aggregated period, as well as dynamic 5-minute, 15-minute bins versus whole period averages. Because it physically represents the vehicles, it also gives a much more detailed ability to do capacity analysis as well as see some project impacts. And with that, I'm done. Sorry.
Thanks. Thank you, James. I appreciate that
time.
If you could go back 2 slides, just because I do want to make sure people have an opportunity for questions. I'm sorry. No, you went right there.
That one.
So, and maybe I saw Jeanette came on camera. This is a question for you, Jeanette. I'm having a hard time connecting this update and the one before with the RMAP, since this was agendized under the RMAP item. What's the specific relationship to RMAP with these 2 previous presentations?
Sure, yeah. So both of these projects are going into sort of 2 pieces of the RMAP. One is the ABM model, right? So these are tools that'll be going in to enhance the ABM modeling and also into the performance measures. But as Hansu mentioned on the last presentation, these projects are sort of wrapping up after this cycle of RMAP. So we'll kind of be completed by the time once we complete the RMAP for the 2055, these tools they're still not going to be completed. They're going to be finished up later next year. And then we'll start using them in the performance side when we do the next RMAP. I hope that covered it. I don't know, Hansu, maybe do you have any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, same. This project also just funded by CRP. Then as just Jeanette mentioned, and this project is actually just showing the further details of the vehicle movement, and hoping to just utilize and maybe just the next round just the RMAP. Yeah, but more likely just currently we are testing and trying to just highlight and regarding just the CRP.
Right. Thanks, Hansu. Paul, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can follow up with this offline in the interest of time, but my point is I think there's some really good application for the DTA model to help project sponsors figure out what the right features are for corridor investments in particular, not to mention, the impacts of operational adjustments and transit frequency and those types of things. So I'm curious if Hansu, you and your team have given thought, and PAG leadership has given thought to how you envision this being used as project sponsors are trying to figure out what corridors to invest in and how to scope projects for those corridor investments. Have you engaged with project sponsors? Have you had any discussions with the consulting community? We largely lean on the consulting community to help us evaluate, in Sam's case, what to do with the First Avenue corridor. In our case, what to do with the First Avenue North corridor, what to do with Valencia, those types of things. And this may be an opportunity to help standardize that in a pretty significant way. So we don't need to get real deep into it, but I think, that's where my thoughts go for the potential uses of this. I think it's got great potential. And I would hope that it would become some sort of standard used tool as we're evaluating corridor investments.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Casatano. Yeah, that's the overall, and as you remember, and those things actually just that we discussed a lot, and but our just the the final purpose of this tool is just the regional level, and sure, just it can show details of each corridor, just improvement, which is called in the like a study area and the specific just areas if you are interested in. So you guys actually just can work with any consultant work, and that based on this and the develop this model. And but just our role, because of the calibration work, is another just the challenges. So our targets are more likely just the regional level calibration, which may or may not be just really accurate for specific just the corridor level. So then maybe you can consider this model and for further just improvement on your side. But this tool is supposed to be used in the long range transportation plan RMAP. If we use this or just TIP, then just the more likely just the regional level.
Thanks for that. So I know that the consultants are using, your regional travel demand model to do these types of evaluations. I think this finer detail of, lane configuration and signal operations and those types of things will allow them to do a very, more detailed analysis of how we can scope our project. So hopefully that base level data will be something that's made available for our consultant community, and we'll figure out how to do the appropriate training so that they can understand how to use it, how to apply it, what to apply it to, and what not to apply it to. But really exciting. Thanks for sharing this, Sinsu and team.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Sinsu. Any other questions? All right, hearing none. I think the last bullet item is an update on public outreach. Jeanette?
Yeah, just a couple of comments on our public outreach engagement for the past month for RMAP. As we had mentioned before, we were targeting some certain demographic groups, and so we have focused our engagement efforts on those populations. We had a good turnout at Tucson Meet Yourself, and wanted to thank all of you who helped make our presence at that event possible. We did get quite a few folks to engage with us at that event. We also were able to participate at the El Rio Neighborhood Center during a resource fair that they had last week. Had a good turnout, and were able to talk to some folks who otherwise we would not have. So that was also a very successful event. Next week, we actually have a whole bunch going on. For RMAP specifically, we're going to be out at U of A, targeting some of those younger folks to get their feedback. And then we also have some outreach going on for our microtransit plan, which on the next agenda item, Preston will cover. But if you guys have any questions, you'll see us out there at some events here the rest of this month and next month. So here we go. We keep going. We keep moving forward with this effort. So we'll
Great.
bring you guys more information next month.
Great. Thank you, Jeanette.
You're welcome.
All right. Hearing nothing else on this item, let's move on to item 7, update on the Dial-A-Ride and Microtransit Service Area Analysis Plan. This will be Preston and Hannah, so take it away.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the TPC. I will be filling in for Hannah today. She is currently out of the office. So I'll do my best to provide a high-level update on where we're currently at with the Dial-A-Ride microtransit study that's being conducted. And just to provide a little bit of background information, this project was approved by PAG Regional Council in May of this year. And soon after approval, we did enter into a contract with Kimley Horn to complete, again, a study looking at our existing Dial-A-Ride services that we offer in the region, as well as other microtransit on-demand style services that we could implement into the future. And along with that, Kimley Horn is also conducting, as a part 2 of this study, a comprehensive transit feasibility study for both the communities of Picture Rocks and Vail and the communities out there. And so we completed the first phase of this study, which was data collection. So data was collected and compiled for all the current existing transit services in the region. So that includes both the Sun Shuttle services that our agency provides, as well as all of the public transit services that SunTran provides. And so that was all compiled, sent over to Kimley Horn for analysis. And Kimley Horn has been coordinating with PAG staff on preliminary analysis efforts and studies with that data. Just looking at the existing conditions of public transit in our region, and also looking at and creating a needs assessment model that indicates, areas in the region where public transit would is most needed, depending on various metrics and parameters. So that phase has been completed, that data collection phase. The next phase is actually public outreach and public engagement. And this phase already began this month. Like Jeanette mentioned, we did have a table at Tucson Meet Yourself to engage. Oh, Sam, did you have a question?
It had to do with the data collections. I don't know if you want me to ask now or at the end.
Either one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask, and maybe this isn't an unfair question because Hannah's not here, but how is the long range transit plan that PAG conducted several years ago? Is that part of the data collection and going into analyzing where service is needed?
It's my understanding that that data was provided to Kimley Horn as well, along with the COA that was recently conducted with the city and Sun Shuttle. So, I do know that was data that Kimley Horn requested. So it encompassed the data that they requested was not just raw data of ridership and routes, but it was also, existing plans at the regional level that they could utilize for their analysis efforts. But Jeanette, if you wanted to add to that, but that's my understanding.
Yeah, that's right, Preston. It was part of what the data request was from the consultant to take a look at that, as well as some of the more recent data collected. I know Preston was working closely with SunTran to get some of the data sources to the consulting firm as well. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. So yes, that was the data phase. The public outreach phase began earlier this month at Tucson Meet Yourself, where we had a table, and we also, I believe, surveyed, I guess staff from Kimley Horn went out and surveyed individuals who were attending to collect data there. Additional events this month will include open houses at both Vail and Picture Rocks. The Vail open house will be on October 22nd in the evening, and the open house at Picture Rocks will be October 23rd, also in the evening, right after working hours. There's also going to be our first technical advisory committee meeting on October 23rd, which is a committee of selected jurisdictional representatives and representatives from member agencies to provide feedback and input on this study and the, moving forward, what they want to see with this study. So that is slated to take place again on October 23rd. There's going to be pop-up events at all three regional transit centers. So at the Ronstadt Center, the Laos Transit Center, and the Tohono Tadai Transit Center. And those will all be during the week of October 21st. And then lastly, we do have 2 meetings scheduled with the drivers of the on-demand and dial-a-ride services. So we have a meeting with Sun Shuttle drivers who operate the dial-a-ride services, and then we have a meeting scheduled with the SunTran drivers who operate the Sun on-demand services to get their input and feedback on dial-a-ride microtransit in the region. So those are the upcoming events that we have slated for this month. And then next steps, once all of that input is provided and that public engagement is completed, Kimley Horn will continue their analysis using that data and the data that they've already compiled to look at opportunity zones, again, areas in the region that currently aren't being served by public transit that could benefit from a microtransit or dial-a-ride service, ways in which we can improve upon our existing dial-a-ride services, and ways in which we can make the booking process and the scheduling process easier for riders to book trips. So that's currently all I have for this update. Happy to try and answer any questions. If I don't know the answer, I might defer to Jeanette, but yeah, that concludes the overview of where we're currently at with this study.
Great, thank you so much, Preston. Any questions for Preston or Jeanette on this item? Natalie?
Yeah, since this was funded with CRP, I'm just curious, where is the carbon reduction piece of this coming in? When are we going to learn what these services can do to actually reduce carbon? Because that was not mentioned at all in what you said.
Yes, I believe that's that is something that is within the scope of work of this study. There is going to be an analysis on greenhouse gas emissions and how, the removal of vehicle miles traveled by personal vehicles is going to, improve upon, reducing carbon. I don't know exactly when that's going to take place. I know that it is, and I assume that that'll happen with that continued analysis. The next step, once all the data has been analyzed and all the input has been provided, that's when they're going to do, I think, a deeper dive and get more detailed into the actual analysis. And that's my understanding. Jeanette, did you have anything else to add to that?
No, that's my understanding as well. And I don't have that timeline for this project committed to my memory completely, but I want to say that that's sometime in like the February, March timeframe. I don't know, Dustin, if you have any other recollections on that specifically, but I just trying going off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure it's like in the spring, February, March time.
Yeah, Jeanette, that sounds right for the analysis time frame, and that's going to be evaluation of displacing single occupancy vehicle trips with transit use. So that would be the greenhouse gas evaluation element.
Okay, I just wanted to add another thing that I was told that I am not going to be allowed to sit on your technical advisory committee because there's only one representative from each jurisdiction. And I just want to remind you that, we've got a Department of Transportation and a Department of Environmental Quality with different focus areas, different expertise. And I do think it's relevant to have a representative from DEQ sit on your technical advisory committee so that we can ensure that air quality and greenhouse gases are considered as part of this. And I don't think there's anyone else on TPC other than Dustin who has that expertise. So I would just like to request that you make an exception and allow me to be on your technical advisory committee as well, for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. I'm just curious, Jeanette, on that note, the technical advisory committee, is that something that TPC can weigh in on in terms of who's appointed to that? Is that like a subcommittee of TPC, or is it project specific?
It's project specific. Yeah.
And what are the guidelines around that?
Pardon me, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize, I didn't mean to talk over you. I was just going to ask what the guidelines are around technical advisory committees.
Usually for technical advisory committees, we get one representative from each of our member jurisdictions.
Okay. Well, Natalie made a formal request, so hopefully you can follow up on that request from her on this project. Any other questions or comments for the staff on this one?
Sam, it's Catherine. I just want to say I support what Natalie is saying, especially this being carbon reduction program. I know that the representative we put forth is somebody familiar with transit, but has no experience necessarily, or expertise, I should say, in the carbon reduction aspects of this. And being that that's the funding source, I think it needs to be a huge component of this work product.
Great, thank you, Catherine. Anything else? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item 8, future agenda items. I will, again, for the record, ask that the following be included as future agenda items. This one particularly, a discussion on programming the next tranche of CRP funds. I think that the TPC should be given an opportunity to talk about how to program those funds as, you know, once that information becomes available. We talked previously about discussing performance-based planning and programming. Discussion on how amendments can and will be made to the current RMAP. Maybe that could be done as part of a future RMAP update that are being regularly given to this committee. I'd like to know, you know, what those provisions are going to look like moving forward. To Natalie's point, analyzing greenhouse gas emissions and project selection. I think that was something that Natalie requested at a previous TPC meeting, and then a review of the Transportation Planning Committee bylaws. And we've asked for that. That was several meetings ago. I'd like to keep those on the future agenda items list in the meeting summary moving forward. Are there any other future agenda items that this committee would like to discuss at a future meeting? Either raise your hand or just shout them out. All right, I'm not hearing anything. Before we adjourn, I just want to confirm, are we also going to be virtual in November?
Sam, we hope to have the meeting hybrid like we usually do next month. So the conference room will be available, and then folks that need to join online can do so.
Okay, great.
For next month?
Next month, yep.
Yeah, what day?
Be the third Wednesday. Let me see what that date is.
20th?
The 20th, November 20th.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. With hearing nothing else, we'll move to item 9, adjournment. Thank you all for your time today. We stand adjourned at 10:17. Have a great rest of your week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.